Tonight, you will walk into a warm room and close a door behind you. You will sit down on a smooth, clean seat. You will not think about it even once. And when you are finished, you will press a small lever, and the entire problem will quietly vanish, swept away by clean water into pipes you will never see, never smell, and never have to think about again. But for almost the whole of human history, that door did not exist. There was no seat. There was no lever. There was no clean water waiting in the dark to carry anything away. And during the Ice Age, when glaciers buried half the world and the wind outside could freeze your skin in minutes, going to the bathroom was not a quiet convenience. It was a small daily act of survival. So how did they do it? How did a human being 30,000 years ago, wrapped in animal skins and surrounded by snow, actually go to the bathroom and live to see the morning? The answer is stranger, smarter, and far more human than you would ever guess. Start with the thing you take for granted. The modern bathroom, the flushing toilet, the sealed pipes, the clean running water, all of it is astonishingly new. The flushing toilet you use did not become common until a little over 150 years ago. For more than 99% of the time humans have existed, not a single one of your ancestors had any of it. That means the bathroom is the exception. The Ice Age was the rule. So picture the rule. The world is colder than anything you have felt. Forests have shrunk into open, frozen plains. Herds of mammoth and reindeer drift across the grass. And your ancestors are not farmers because farming has not been invented yet. They are hunter-gatherers, which means they are almost always moving. And that single fact, the moving, is the first secret to how they stayed clean. Think about it. When you stay in one place, your waste stays with you. It builds up. It draws flies, rats, and disease. But a small band of Ice Age humans rarely stayed anywhere for long. They followed the herds. They followed the seasons. They walked. So when nature called, they simply stepped away from the camp, away from where they slept and where they ate, did what they needed to do, and left it behind on the land as they moved on. The earth did the rest. Rain, frost, insects, and bacteria broke it down. By the time anything could become a problem, the people were already gone. So the very first toilet humans ever had was not a thing, it was a behavior. It was distance. But the Ice Age added a brutal complication, and this is where it gets interesting. Out there, the cold could kill you. Stepping too far from the fire meant exposure, frostbite, and predators watching from the dark. Stepping too close meant fouling the one warm, safe space your survival depended on. So your ancestors had to solve a quiet daily puzzle. Far enough to stay clean, close enough to stay alive. Where is that line exactly, when the temperature is far below freezing and a cave lion might be waiting in the snow? We are not just guessing about any of this. We actually have the evidence. And the evidence is, well, exactly what you think it is. Scientists study something called a coprolite. A coprolite is fossilized or dried out ancient human waste, preserved for thousands of years in dry caves, frozen ground, or arid soil. It sounds like a joke. It is one of the most valuable things that archaeologists can find. In a place called Paisley Caves in Oregon, a researcher named Dennis Jenkins and his team uncovered human coprolites that turned out to be more than 14,000 years old, dating to the end of the Ice Age. To confirm they were truly human, a geneticist named Eske Willerslev and his colleagues pulled ancient DNA straight out of them. The result rewrote part of the story of how people first reached the Americas. A few grams of preserved waste, sitting in the dirt, quietly held the answer. That is the strange power of this stuff. To you, it is the thing you flush away and forget. To science, it is a sealed time capsule. Because here is what ancient waste can tell us. It can reveal exactly what a person ate in their final days. It can show whether they were eating meat, seeds, roots, or fish. It can expose the parasites living inside their gut. It can even hint at the medicines and plants they swallowed to feel better. A scientist named Carl Reinhard spent much of his career reading these ancient remains like pages of a diary. From dried coprolites, He and others could reconstruct entire prehistoric diets and detect the worms and parasites that shared the body. One small, unglamorous sample, and suddenly you are looking directly into a stranger's stomach across 10,000 years. So we know roughly what came out. But there is another question you are probably already asking. The question nobody likes to say out loud. What did they use to clean themselves? Because there was no soft paper roll waiting on the wall. Toilet paper is shockingly recent. It was first used in China many centuries ago and only spread across the rest of the world far more recently. For the entire Ice Age, it simply did not exist. Not once. So your ancestors used whatever the land around them offered. Soft leaves and grasses in warmer seasons. Moss, which is gentle and surprisingly absorbent. Smooth stones. Handfuls of clean water near a river. Soft animal hide. And in the deep Ice Age cold, when the world was buried white, the most obvious tool of all was lying everywhere around them. Snow. Cold, clean, and endlessly available. Bracing, certainly. But it worked. And this is the part that should genuinely surprise you. By stepping away from camp, by constantly moving, by burying waste under earth or snow and leaving it behind, those Ice Age humans were practicing something close to instinctive sanitation. They had no germ theory. They did not know what bacteria were, yet their entire way of living kept them remarkably separated from their own waste. Now hold that thought, because here comes the twist. What happened when humans finally stopped moving? When the Ice Age ended and farming began, people did something they had never done before. They settled down. They built permanent villages. They stayed in one spot for years, then for generations. And for the first time, large numbers of humans were living crowded together, in one place, with their animals, their food, and yes, their waste. All in the same small world. The constant moving had hidden a problem. Now that problem had nowhere to go. A researcher named Piers Mitchell, who studies the archaeology of ancient parasites, has examined this shift across thousands of years of human remains. And the picture that emerges is striking. As people settled, farmed, and packed closer together, certain parasites and gut infections appear to have become more common, not less. The very lifestyle we think of as progress created brand new ways to get sick. Let that sink in. The Ice Age hunter-gatherer, squatting in the snow with a handful of moss, may have been living in cleaner conditions than the early farmer in their cozy permanent home. Why? Because the hunter-gatherer kept moving away from the problem. The farmer stayed and lived right on top of it, so the toilet, the sewer, the clean pipe, all of that came later. It was not the start of human cleanliness, it was a desperate repair. We invented sanitation systems to fix a mess we made the moment we stopped walking away. The flush you will use tonight is not the beginning of the story. It is humanity's answer to a problem our Ice Age ancestors never even had. And this is where it quietly comes back to you. Watch what you actually do the next time. You will look for a door. You will want privacy. You will instinctively move away from where you eat and where you sleep. You will feel, somewhere deep and wordless, that this is something to be done apart, in a separate place away from others. Where do you think that instinct came from? It was not taught to you in a single afternoon. It is old. It is far older than your house, your city, or your language. It is the same instinct that sent a fur-wrapped human stepping carefully away from the fire and into the cold 30,000 years ago, balancing distance against danger. Your body still carries their solution, the privacy, the separation, the pull to step away. You inherited a survival rule so deep that you obey it every single day without ever noticing. You think the clean white room is the natural state of things. It is not. It is a thin modern layer, barely a few human lifetimes thick, stretched over an instinct that is unimaginably ancient. So the next time that door closes and the world goes quiet, remember what you are really doing. You are not just using a machine. You are repeating one of the oldest careful habits your species ever developed, the same quiet calculation your ancestors made in the snow, simply to make it to tomorrow. Tonight, you will walk into a warm room and close a door behind you. And somewhere inside that simple, forgettable act, in the privacy, the distance, and the instinct to step away, A 30,000-year-old survivor is still standing in the snow, still solving the same problem, and still quietly keeping you alive.